Good afternoon. Welcome to our discussion on AgileField for better field service management. I'm going to start off today's presentation with some quick introductions and housekeeping items, and then we'll get into our presentation today. So my name is Deneen. I'm the Director of Marketing at Technology Advisors. Many of you on the call today know us, but for those of you who don't, we're a CRM and business software consulting firm out of Chicago, and we help companies of all industries, all sizes, find and successfully implement software for their business. With me today are Jen Tronson, VP of Marketing at AgileField, and Jeff Gregorick. He is the Executive Vice President of AgileField. And as you'll learn in this webinar, AgileField is a specialized tool that allows your field services teams to coordinate, execute, document, and proactively communicate with customers and fellow employees. Before we officially get started, I just want to go over a quick housekeeping item. The platform the webinar is hosted on today is called On24, and it may be unfamiliar to some of you. So I'd like to point out that you can edit the size of any window within the browser of the platform by clicking on those little yellow dots in the corners. You can look at the bottom center of your screen. You'll see what are called widgets. Feel free to click on those at any point throughout the presentation. There'll be documents and relevant links there for you to access at any point. And then, of course, if you have any questions during the presentation, enter them in that Q&A box, and we'll address them as best we can. So with that, let's get started looking at some of the major challenges of field service. So field services have a lot on their plates. First and foremost, meeting the expectations of the customers they service. So as you try to meet those expectations, you have to take into account the access to information, the paperwork associated with each service call, communication between dispatch and fellow field agents. So we're just going to take a quick dive into some of the bigger challenges and assess what is necessary to overcome them. So under customer service expectations, scheduling an arrival, what does the customer expect? They expect prompt service and a timely arrival. Technicians try to stay on schedule and plan their arrival within a certain window, but a lot of times, that doesn't always pan out, and customers are kind of left waiting around wondering what their true ETA is, and that affects your customer satisfaction and your customer retention. Then you look at communication. If a technician's plans change, do they have an easy way to notify the customer of that? Can the customer contact them with additional information if something changes before the appointment? And then predictive maintenance, customers expect their field service agents to be proactive, not reactive. So it's frustrating when something breaks or expires, and then they have to make time to schedule a service call and rework their own lives for that. So predictive maintenance allows those technicians to anticipate the customer's needs before an issue occurs. And it's great in theory, but it's not always easily put into action depending on the resources you have at your disposal. Then we talk about access to information. In the field, technicians need access to a lot of information in their back pockets. So when there's a lack of mobility, technicians don't have the resources to back them up. Any documents they need, if they want to bring them with them, they have to print them or pre-download them onto their mobile devices if they're in a servicing area that's not going to get cellular range. And the trouble with access to information also ties into that inventory and offline capability. So even technicians who have mobility, if they don't have current inventory or they can't access the mobile application when they're offline, yeah, it's great to have that mobile function, but it kind of becomes useless at that point. And then you look at paperwork. Technicians spend a lot of time doing administrative work, filling out timesheets when they could be in the field addressing customer needs. And on top of that, the time that it takes to look up the information they need to complete the paperwork and fill in all the gaps, that adds that secondary hassle. So overcoming those challenges, how do we do that? Well, resources are necessary to keep technicians proactive, to keep them efficient, and to keep them in the know. And then circling back to that mobile accessibility, they need the ability to not be just mobile, but to truly be mobile, to have everything at their disposal at any point in time. And then the option of two-way communication. You know, the technicians being able to talk to the customers and the technicians being able to talk to dispatch. So now that we've kind of looked at some of the basic field service challenges, I'm going to turn the floor over to Jeff for a 1-minute intro of what AgileField is, and then Jen's going to take a deeper dive on the product for you. So Jeff, I hand it to you.
Hey, thanks, Deneen. What a great setup, very helpful. And thanks everyone for joining the call. We appreciate you giving us a little bit of your day and letting us share a little bit about AgileField. Our partnership with Technology Advisors is strong, and we're really grateful for what they do for us. So thanks to get that up right up front. Just as a background, our company, we're a private equity-backed ISV. We're out in the suburb of Phoenix, Arizona. We have customers across the country, and we're very, very fortunate to have you join our call. As Deneen mentioned, Jen Tronson's going to provide you a little bit of background on our platform and what it can do. And then I think the most important part of today's call will be when she actually dives into the product and shows you how it works. And then we're hopeful there's lots of dialogue and questions back and forth. It makes these calls a lot more interesting and successful. So Deneen, thanks again for the intro and the setup. I think everyone you'll really enjoy Jen's presentation today, and please don't hesitate to chime in on the chat box, and we'll do our best to respond. So Jen, take it away.
Sure. Thanks for the intro, and thanks everybody for joining today. I'm going to start here by going through a number of different slides just to give everybody a high-level overview of our product, AgileField. So bear with us here. We're going to go through a few slides, and then we'll take a deeper dive when we get into the actual product. Again, from a high-level perspective, the main features and functionality of the platform include scheduling and dispatch, field mobile application, work order management, meaning any longer-term or multi-day projects, anything that's on a recurring basis, so like preventative work and things like that, and then any one-time break-fix type jobs as well. Customer engagement, we do have a customer web portal and then also a branded application, but we also include there any automatic notifications that are going to send out to customers. Inventory and asset management, we can track within the system whether it's your own internal equipment or inventory or that belongs to your customers. And then integration and analytics. So we can integrate with a number of different platforms. I'll turn it over to Jeff in a little bit to discuss that a little bit more in depth. And then analytics is going to be all of our standard reporting functionality and custom reporting as well. Some of the basics here, we are a cloud-based system. We are also available in a disconnected offline mode. So if you are a company that works in poor cell areas often, maybe a mine, or maybe you work on medical equipment where you have to be in offline mode, our app will work fully connected or fully disconnected and then just re-upload that information when we get back to a connectivity area. We can manage user permissions within the system and then also play nicely with any tablets, laptops, smartphones, or computers. So it doesn't matter if it's an Android, Windows, or iOS device. In terms of the customer engagement, we do have a customer web portal that you can choose to extend to your own customers. We also have a branded mobile application, so whether you want them to interact with you on the web or on the mobile app or let them decide, those options are available. They can get on there and view any equipment that they might have on site that you service for them, any job history, and then real-time progress, so getting updates as things are happening through that portal, and then also easily request new work. So again, they can choose to interact on the web portal or a mobile application, so whether they're using their desktop computer, a laptop, or their cell phone on hand, there's a lot of different options there, a lot of upsell opportunities for you. In terms of communication, we do have automatic text and email notifications that we can set up to go to your customers. These are highly configurable, so if you don't want to communicate in certain statuses, we don't need to. It can differ depending on the type of work that we're doing as well. But we see a lot of people use that for things like in-transit or on-site alerts, any custom templates, so like work orders or any invoices, and then even some completion surveys. So a little background on how that works is we're seeing a screenshot here of the mobile application with a bunch of different job statuses. So as people out in the field are updating that status to something like in-transit or on-site, maybe then we deploy a text message to your customer saying, "Hi, Bob, Jeff's on site to do this job number 1, 2, 3, 4. Another example of that might be there's a screenshot here. It's just an HTML template, so that's something that we would help set up for you. It can include logos, pictures, signatures, any line items, or any form fills that you might want to extend to your customers. So the example up on the screen here is just like a work order completion template. But again, this can look like whatever you have now or your desired outcome. It is just HTML. In terms of schedule and dispatch, we do have a number of different options to accommodate different processes that you may have. The simplest way and most commonly used is just the drag and drop feature. So if we look at the screen here, there's a bunch of jobs up top in that table view, and then a bunch of users down below that we can schedule to. So the easiest way is to just grab one of those jobs up top and then schedule it down to a user below. The next way that we can do it is with a map view. So we'll see this little map is popped out on the screen here. And the way that works is it is typically used in a dual screen scenario. So if you have dispatchers with 1 or 2 monitors, they can use it either way, and they do work in tandem. So what that means is if I were to highlight a job in the table view here, it will highlight it on the map. And then if I were to highlight a user on the map, it'll single out everybody else and show just that user that you want to schedule to in the table view. So it becomes a lot easier to schedule based on proximity if that's your desired way of doing things. The third way is to auto-schedule. So we have a number of different criteria that our scheduler will go through. It'll make sure that people are in the correct divisions. Divisions are typically a geographic location. It'll make sure that the person that we're scheduling a job to has the required skills to do that type of work. It'll make sure that they're available in that time slot. And then, of course, schedules the person who's closest in proximity for that time. An example of that is if there's a job that comes in for 3 p.m., it's going to go through that list of criteria and then schedule the job to the person who's closest to that job at 3 p.m. Just some of the basics here. We can filter down by customers, divisions, projects, and more. So this is a pretty dynamic screen. And then the different colors down below that we're seeing are going to indicate the different job statuses. So it becomes very easy to get a real-time view of what's going on in the field. In terms of the mobile application, I'm going to go over some of the major features here, and of course we'll jump into that once we get to the actual product. Time card capture, so there's a number of different ways that we can track time from a cost or price perspective within the system. Create new jobs, so we can enable your people to actually create new jobs straight from the field without having to go back and forth with dispatch. This is a feature that we can turn on or off. So something to note as we go through things today is if there's something that wouldn't be as use to you, it doesn't necessarily need to show up there. There's a number of different things that are going to be driven by feature flags, so it's a simple turn on, turn off, and that's a good example of one of those things. Automatic notifications and alerts. So this is not only for the customers, but for the technicians as well. So they're going to get notifications when they get, a new job scheduled to them, maybe when there's a time change on a job, something's rescheduled, if they need a gate code and things like that. They can manage material inventory and then also manage equipment straight from the mobile device. Something that makes that really simple is the barcode scanning feature. So that just will tap into the phone or the tablet's camera and enable them to go ahead and scan something to easily add it to a job or add it back to their vehicle, take it out of a warehouse, things like that. Photo and document attachments. So this is going to work back and forth in real time with the back office. So if there are documents that are attached in the back office, they're going to be viewable from the mobile device in real time. And then as photos are taken out in the field, it's going to be viewable on the job in the back office as well. GPS location. So every time that we change a job status, it's not only going to date and time stamp it, but also drop a GPS pin. So it's always auditable from that perspective, and you'll know where people are when they hit those different statuses. It also enables us to provide driving directions. So when we get out to the mobile, we'll see the addresses are clickable, and that will just go ahead and open maps, and they can get directions from there. Inspection forms is going to be digital versions of anything that you're filling out in the field today. So we would take anything that you're filling out today, whether it's 2 questions or 3 pages, make a digital copy of that right on the mobile device, and that way we're eliminating that double entry. We're hopefully minimizing or eliminating any errors that are commonly made, and most importantly, saving time for all people involved. Lastly, customer and technician signatures. This is a feature we can turn on or off or make required or not required depending on your process. So we can go ahead and in real time collect customer and technician signatures with date and time stamps there as well. In terms of inventory management, we can manage inventory between a number of different distribution centers that you might have, warehouses, vehicles, and track that movement there. We also can track reorder levels and set up low inventory alerts, and then manage serialized or non-serialized materials. So anything that might be in bulk or anything that you might have barcoded, we can manage both of those within the system. And then also any assets that you have. So anything that you're going out and using to service for customers or that you're servicing on site at their locations, we can track any of the work performed against those things and then any materials that might have been consumed on them as well. From a reporting perspective, we do have a number of preloaded core business reports, anything that you'd expect to see from a management or operations standpoint. But we can also create custom reports and dashboards. We can automate the scheduling of those reports. And technically speaking, we do have a virtual private data warehouse. All that really means is that it's going to have no impact on performance in the field. So if someone's running a crazy long report, it's going to have no impact on Fred who's trying to work out in the field. And it also enables us to utilize any analytics system you might have already. So if your company is already using Domo or Tableau or Power BI, something like that, we can go ahead and point it at our data, and that way you can continue to consume the data in a way that you're used to. For integrations, Jeff, I'm going to hand it over to you and Deneen to talk a little bit about how that's going to work specifically with technology advisors.
Sure, thanks, Jen. Great job as always. Wonderful setup, simple and clear. Probably one of the strongest elements of the AgileField platform is our ability to integrate with most of the common CRM, ERP platforms you'll find out there. And this is quite frankly where the folks like at Technology Advisors really shine. Their deep expertise in multiple CRM, BI, and ERP platforms combined with the feature sets within AgileField is a real strong value proposition for anyone that either works with Technology Advisors or is even considering working with them. Our integration hub is something that allows us to easily integrate with these all various platforms. And where I think Technology Advisors has even a greater advantage is a daughter company they manage and run called Starfish ETL. And for those of you not familiar with it, it's a very powerful tool that creates that connection between AgileField, CRM, all the work that takes place on the AgileField end, and then pushes that data back and forth to the CRM, to the various CRM platforms. So a big plus with the combination of both Technology Advisors, AgileField, and Starfish. It's a really strong and powerful story for those of you out there. And of course, if you're interested to learn more about this, I would encourage you to reach out to your contacts at Technology Advisors. So now comes the better part of the presentation, where Jen's going to jump into the actual demo of the product in a moment. So Jen, I'll give it back to you and let you take it away.
Sure. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and try to steal the controls here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into the actual product and go through at a high level, again, some of the basics. So we're going to go ahead and schedule a job, take a look at a customer record, assuming that some of this might be pushing and pulling, as Jeff explained, with something like a CRM that's in place. And then most importantly, we're going to jump out to the mobile device and take a look at what it's going to look like for people in the field working day-to-day in a system like AgileField. So I'm going to go ahead and try to share here. And if someone could just give me a quick, yes, we see your screen, that would be awesome. Maybe.
Yes, we see your screen, Jen. Good job.
We see
Okay,
it.
great. Okay. So this is the screen that I'm going to see when I log in here. We've just got a couple quick examples up, but this dashboard view here is completely configurable, not only for the company, but by each user as well. So each user, when they log in, will see the KPIs that are important to them. There's more real estate, as you can see here. So there's, an infant number that we can actually add here. I'm going to go ahead and create a new job and go through that workflow really quickly here. So if I hit new job, if for some reason we're entering new customers directly into AgileField, we could hit new customer, enter their information, and continue on scheduling a job. If we have a CRM or an ERP system in place, we're typically going to hit existing customer here, because then this information is going to be pulling over from CRM. So I'm just going to hit AgileField as an example here. And then I'm going to go a little bit quickly over the customer record here. just to give everyone an idea of the data that we're able to store within our system and how that might work with the CRM. So something to note as well is as we look at some of these screens, we're going to see quite a few fields on a few of them. Just keep in mind that we can turn on or off any of these different fields if they're not going to be used. So we're going to have some basic information up top here, company name, account number, basic point of contact, customer type. So I have two examples in here, commercial or real estate, but this is something that's user defined and just a grouping mechanism for your different classifications of customers that you may have. Parent customer we'll see here, so we can accommodate the parent-child hierarchy. That's going to go n levels deep, so however you have it set up in the CRM, we can pull that information over in the same fashion into our system. We're going to have basic contact information, so email, different phone numbers, and then lastly, we're going to have division over here. So this is commonly used for geographic location or maybe different areas of a city or a state or a region that you cover. So as an example, I have a couple cities that are close to the Phoenix area where we're based here. So these are all user defined, and again, it's kind of a grouping mechanism, and we'll look at what that looks like on the scheduler view when we get there. Down below here, we're going to have some more basic information, so address, billing address if that's going to be different. Flex fields, so this is really just our custom field section here, so we can have custom groupings, different questions or inputs, things like that. So it can be single line text, multi-line text, dates, numbers, drop-downs, checkboxes, things like that. This is something that we have across all the major business objects within the system. So anything like customers, any users, jobs, materials, equipment, things like that. So anything that we do not have in our system already, we can add here. It's going to work as a normal field. So from a reporting perspective, they're available. And then more importantly, from integrations as well. So if we're looking at this basic information up here and you're thinking we have a zillion custom fields in our CRM, no problem. We commonly add quite a few down here. I've just got a few examples in. Notes we can store on a customer record. I can also designate any as an alert, meaning that it's going to pop up on a mobile device when someone's doing a job for this customer. So that's commonly used for something like a gate code, maybe a warning of a dog in a backyard, maybe the person prefers a call on the way, things like that. So it'll automatically pop up for the people in the field. Job notes and history are going to be previous entries on the past jobs that have been worked. We can always click in here to drill down further, but it's giving us a quick snapshot here of what's been going on for that customer. Equipment and any serialized materials, so it's going to show us what's on site at this customer location. Contacts, we can store multiple contacts under a customer record. So just like you have in your CRM, we can store those contacts here. Any purchase orders we can burn down against within our system. So if we assign specific jobs to a PO, it'll start to burn down against that PO here. And then any tasks, we can task other users within the AgileField platform to do specific things like calls, maybe resending invoices. All of this is going to be user defined, so it's very configurable depending on what makes sense for your process. If I go ahead and hit next here, I'm just going to continue on to the scheduler. Actually, we're going to input some more details about the job here. So I can put in a longer description. So maybe if we're on the phone with someone and they're explaining, what's going wrong, we can type that in here. That's going to be visible on the mobile device as well. Any reference numbers that might be applicable, any POs that we might need to burn down against, a requested date or time. We can add any equipment or vehicles we might need to add. We can add any contracts. So if there's different contract prices for a customer, those will pop up here. And we can designate a specific contact as well. So if Jen's calling in this time versus the main point of contact, we can designate here that Jen gets the correspondence throughout this job. And then this is a larger notes field where we can input any notes that we want them to see in the mobile device as well. So I hit quick job here. I'm just going to pick an example of a maintenance job here. Something to keep in mind is this is really going to act as a job template. So because I picked maintenance, we're going to send out a certain cadence of customer communication, meaning maybe for maintenance jobs, we tell the customers that we're on our way, but for repair jobs, maybe we don't. So this job template is really going to drive a lot of things like that. And most importantly, it's going to have certain forms or certain questions pop up in the field, and then any billable items that might pertain to this particular type of work. So if I hit save here, I'm going to go ahead and schedule this job. So now we've arrived at our scheduler view here. So this is where people that are dispatching jobs are going to spend most of their time. We'll see the job I just scheduled up here. And again, the easiest way is just to drag and drop it down to a user. Keep in mind, I can move things around. So until they're being worked, I can move this job from user to user. You'll also see that it defaulted to about an hour and a half. That's because I picked a maintenance job. So depending on the types of work that you do, there's typically a planned time for that job. So it's going to default there. But we can always make it longer or shorter depending on what we're hearing on the phone or what we already know about this customer and things like that. So we'll get a good look down here at the different users on the schedule. You'll see that they're broken out by different skills or certifications. So again, these are user defined. I just have a few examples in here like customer service, field tech, repairs, things like that. So people can have multiple skills. We just designate one that's going to be their default for the scheduler view here. These gray bars are going to indicate when people are unavailable. So most people here, it looks like, are working 8 to 5, and then we've got some working 6 to 6. It's just going to give a clear indication of when people are available for work. So really, it's just going to be whatever shift they're typically working. If they're on call, there's no gray at all, and you can schedule them whenever you need to. The different colors down here are going to indicate the different job statuses. So as an example, red's going to be complete, green's going to be on site, blues if they have to be off site for some reason, yellowish colors in transit. This purple is going to mean they've acknowledged the job, and the gray ones are just scheduled, but no one's acknowledged or started work on them yet. We do have a status legend. The status legend over here on the side. So it's always referenceable there, but you'll get a really good idea of what's going on in the field. You'll become really familiar with these colors and kind of have a quick glimpse at what's going on in real time. We have a number of different filters over here on the side as well. So we can filter down by a specific project or maybe a customer. The most commonly used filter is going to be this divisions one here. So as an example, if I select the Chandler division, now I'm only going to see jobs that are in Chandler and then users that are in that Chandler division. If I hit Phoenix, I'm going to see the same thing, jobs for Phoenix and users for Phoenix, and then same with Scottsdale. So you'll see this change depending on the division that I'm choosing here. Do keep in mind that I'm logged in as a super user, so I'm able to see all these divisions here. But if I were Mia Ham and I'm in Scottsdale, when I log in, I'll only see jobs and employees that are in Scottsdale. So that's a quick glimpse at scheduling a job there. Up top is all the jobs here that we still need to schedule down below. But down here, again, is going to give us just a quick real-time glimpse of what's going on in the field. We also have a week and a month view if you do multi-day jobs or longer-term jobs. And we can jump around here and look at previous or future days here as well on this calendar view. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to jump out to the mobile application here and go through what it's going to look like to work a job from the field. Do keep in mind we're using an emulator today, so it's not going to do things like actually scan an item in or pull up my real camera, but for all intents and purposes, it's going to look the same. If we were working in offline mode, there's going to be a notice in red down here below that's going to let us know that we're offline. They're going to be able to work as normal. It's just that data is going to upload when they get back to a connectivity area. I'm going to start just going bottom to top here and go through all the different features. Jobs is going to be the most important, so we'll end with that one. So if I hit timesheet here, they do have the ability to punch in and out. This, again, is not going to associate to any specific job or any customer necessarily. It's just going to let you know that Jen worked today from 12:29 p.m. until the time that I punch out. So this is often used just for payroll time if employees are just clocking in and out. So you may or may not use this, but it is there if it makes sense for your process. Our search function here, we can search things like materials, equipment, vehicles, customers, employees. This is really just our way of enabling the people that are out in the field the same information that they would get if they had access to the back office. So instead of having to call back to dispatch for information, they're able to do it right from the mobile device. Example of that might be if they're working a job and they see that Ben from AgileField worked it last, maybe they need his information, so I can do an employee search, click in here and get his information to click to email or click to dial pretty simply here. So again, just trying to make sure the people in the field are enabled to do any of these searches without having to learn a different interface or trade calls with other employees. Warehouse here, this is most often used for like a warehouse manager or maybe a supervisor who's going to have access to warehouses. So this is a feature that we can turn on or off based on permissions, as are most of these other ones that we'll look at, but just keep that in mind. When I click on warehouse here, it's going to show the warehouses that I have access to. So I have access to this Phoenix warehouse. If I click in here, it's going to give me some basic information, and it's going to show me the entire inventory that I've got for this warehouse. I can filter search here, and it's going to allow me to open search any of these fields to easily find what I'm looking for. But the easiest way is going to be the scan search here. So if I hit that button, it would pop up my camera, and I can quickly scan items to find that record or scan them into the inventory from this scan here as well. But just to give you an idea, we're going to see a bunch of different bulk materials, and then anything with a barcode here is going to indicate that it has serialized pieces of inventory. So if I click in here to view more details, it's going to be the basic information, but I can also click to view details, and it's going to show me all the different serial numbers that I have. Again, the easiest way to do this is just with the scan feature, so they can just walk up and scan a specific item this way. But if we're using it manually here, I can swipe in as well and see the different statuses. So we'll see that this one is new, received in the warehouse, but maybe I notice it's damaged. I can go ahead and change that to damaged, and it'll update that record. I can also receive new items, so I can just go ahead and scan them in or key them in manually with this button, and I can assign them out to a vehicle from here as well. If I go to vehicles here, it's going to show me any vehicles that are assigned to me. So today I have this GMC 1500, and it's going to be pretty much the same view as the warehouse here, except it's going to be what my truck stock is. So again, I can do a filter search, and I can also scan from this view as well. So again, we'll go down to some of these items here. As an example, if I look at one that's serialized, it's going to give me basic information. It'll also show me any serialized materials of this kind that I have in my vehicle. And I can also add. So based on permissions, I can go ahead and scan in a serialized item that might be on site at a customer location. I can scan something out of a warehouse or even out of other people's vehicles, again, depending on my permissions there. If I click on jobs here, this, of course, is going to be the most important piece. So we're going to get quite a bit of information. Again, keep in mind if you're not using certain fields, they won't show up. If we don't want certain buttons to show, they don't need to show. So here we can have it set to show a number of days in advance. I have it showing jobs just for today, but if your company needs people to be able to see 2 or 7 or 14 days in advance, they'll just get a larger list here of the different jobs that they have. There's a search function here, so they can always narrow that down if necessary. And then create new job will enable people to create new jobs straight from the field, either assign it to themselves, have it go to the back office to be scheduled, or assign it to another user. So if you're a company where you work, maybe late or overnight, or you have supervisors who need to create new jobs for people on their team, this is something that you might want to utilize for those personas here. Again, we'll see some basic information about the different jobs that I've got here, but I'm going to go ahead and click into this one for AgileField. You'll see that this alert is popping up because I'm working a job for AgileField, so it's letting me know that the gate code is pound 4040, and I can always come back here to view those alerts as well. But we'll have basic information about the job up top here, so it'll tell me what type of work I'm doing, if there's equipment on it, any notes that came in from the customer or that were just on the job record here, and then I can change the job status. So if I hit in transit here, it's going to date and time and then also GPS stamp me here as well. And then it also can start driving any of that customer communication that we might have set up. So since I'm hitting on site, maybe the customer is getting a text or an email saying that I'm on site. And apologies, this is going a little bit slowly from the internet here. Whoop. Okay, so now we're on site at this job. It's also going to, you'll see it turn green in a moment here on the back office view. So again, the back office is going to know now that I'm on site. The customer is going to know that I'm on site, and we can start our work. If there's equipment on the job, I can go ahead and view equipment. It'll show me any pieces of equipment, so it's one or multiple that are attached to this job. And then I can actually click in to view more details. So it'll show me the basic information about the equipment, any custom fields that I might have, any notes, and I can add new notes here as well. And then even any job history for this particular piece of equipment. So if I need to go back and look at the history and see what was done last on it, I can actually drill into this job and get all those details here. I can also remove any equipment or add it to the job from the field here as well. If I scroll down here, it's going to give me the customer information. So I can click to dial, click to email, click for driving directions straight from here. And it'll also show me the customer job history. So if I click in here, it'll show me all jobs that were completed for this customer. So if I need to go back through and find a specific one, I certainly can. If I click in to view details here, it'll give me all the basic information again, any customer information, the people or person that worked the job, any of the form fills that might have been attached to this job, and then the different line items and any notes, and even any signatures that are going to be on the job here. You'll see this document section, and this can be driven by a number of different things as well. So if we're doing a certain type of work, maybe we attach a certain training manual. In this example, I have a Capstone 65 generator on this job, so we're going to see that document automatically attached here. On the phone, you just swipe in, it'll open. On mine here, since it's an emulator, we'll open in a new window. So it's going to download and open that automatically. There's no limit on these, so you'll see this is like a 61-page manual. We can go ahead and attach those, and they can always reference it while they're working out in the field. The next tab here is going to be our Forms tab. So this is where we take anything that you're filling out in the field today or any information that you're going to need to collect. All of these are custom groupings and custom questions. We can require any of these be filled out prior to completing a job, but you'll see it can be things like checkboxes, drop-downs, date fields, numeric fields, open text boxes, things like that. The Work tab here is going to automatically generate based on the type of work that I'm doing. So since I picked a maintenance job, it's got these 3 line items that we know that we always do when we do a maintenance job, for example. So it'll automatically add these. I can always remove any or add additional if I need to. If you're a company that does piecework or does time and materials, maybe this whole section is blank and you have people add as they go. So we can accommodate that structure as well. As an example, if I select to add a material here, it'll ask me where I want to add it from. Since I have access to both of these, I'm going to pick my vehicle. Then I'm going to pick the item, and then I can add as many as I need to this job. So you'll see it'll go ahead and add that here. Up top here, we're going to have the camera. So this will let me open my camera in real time and take any photos that I need to attach to the job, and then also hit my image gallery that I might already have uploaded to my phone there. Notes field here is going to show me any notes from the back office, and then I can enter any notes here as well. And then if I hit the Sign tab here, where I can go ahead and get signatures. Again, we can turn these on or off or require one or both of them, depending on your process. It's just going to be just like UPS where you use your finger and go ahead and sign here. We can add any additional notes, and then also send invoice you'll see here. This will show any templates that I've already got set up. So as an example, I have an invoice and a work order template set up, and then an email too. So I can add to this list as well if necessary. This is going to be how someone would manually push out one of these. Most companies will elect to, upon job save and completing it, send it out. So it can be automatic, or we can choose to send it manually as well. So if I hit save here, it's going to ask if I want to go ahead and complete this job. If I hit not yet, it'll save my work and let me continue on working the job. If I hit complete, it's going to save all of my work, potentially send out any of those copies of work orders or invoices, let the back office know, and then it'll return me back to my list of jobs here. And I'll just go about working the rest of my day. So that's a quick recap on kind of the full workflow there and how it works for a technician. Again, keep in mind a lot of this can be customized depending on your industry and your specific process. But that's a high-level overview of our different capabilities. And without further ado, I think I'll turn it back to you, Jeff and Deneen, to finish up here.
Thanks, Jen. Great job as always. And everybody can appreciate that was just a high-level view of what AgileField can do. And if someone would like the deeper dive, a proof of concept or something, we would encourage you to reach out to the folks at Technology Advisors. What we showed you is essentially sort of AgileField in its vanilla state, but that's where the strength of the folks at Technology Advisors can integrate CRM to AgileField, the various workflows and business processes necessary to have it perform specific to the needs of your business. So, Deneen, I'll go back to you and let you close this out if there were any questions that we may be able to field. Otherwise, again, if For those folks, I know this is being recorded and distributed out through their various communication channels. You know, again, we'd encourage you to reach out to the tech advisors folks if you'd like to have the discussion taken further.
Thank you. And thank you, Jeff and Jen, just overall. This was a great overview. And I personally really enjoyed it, so I hope that our registrants enjoyed it as well and saw really just the dynamic abilities of this tool. Incredible. We do have a few questions, and as we get set up to answer those, I would just like to also note, following up on what Jeff said, I'm going to be sending out a follow-up email to this webinar. It will include a full recording as well as some specialized clips. And you can, of course, reply to that email if you have any questions or want more information. In addition to that, I would just like to remind you that at the bottom of your screen there where the widgets are, one of those widgets is the speaker bios for me, Jen, and Jeff, and our contact information is there as well. You can feel free to click that, maybe save an email or something if you know you might have a question later. And we'll be happy to help you. So one of the questions we have is asking, is there an easy way to manage multiple different offices we have in your system?
Sure, I can take that one. We would utilize that division feature that we have, and we can make that a little bit more complex than what I skimmed over. But that's typically the way that it's done with all of our customers that have offices, you know, across the country, maybe in different countries as well. And since we can restrict the different views, we can sort of play with that so that headquarters is seeing what they need to see, maybe a district office is seeing what they need to see, and individual locations see what they need to see.
Awesome. And then what is the pricing model for the product?
I'll take that one,
I'll
Jen.
just take that one. Cool.
Sure, thanks. So, of course, we work through our business partner model. I will tell you we do have a published list price for AgileField. It's a named user model. The suggested retail price of it is $50 per user per month. There are, and that is inclusive of all the features that Jen covered, so all of the components from the admin to the customer portal to the integration hub and to the Field mobile app, all is inclusive, and again, it's breakpoints at the various costs, or excuse me, at the various multipliers. So I think at 25 and at 50 and at 100. So the obvious model there. There are elements to it we can't speak to on the phone because it's based off the service work and the integration and the level of complexity of a job. Those are obviously one-time costs, but nonetheless, it would require, you know, a sit down with someone at Technology Advisors, your company and ours, to decide what those dollars would be based on, you know, time and effort. So hopefully that explains it. And again, would reach out to Tech Advisors if you want to deep dive further.
All right, and it looks like those are the only questions we have right now. And like I said, I will be getting this information out to you. Thank you for joining us today. And again, just thank you so much to Jen and Jeff for being here and going through this with us.
Thank you. We're happy to help.
Have a great afternoon.
Bye now.